today. I want to move on to the money, please. And the starting point is our legal obligation if we leave without a deal. Do you broadly accept, or does the government broadly accept, the conclusions of the House of Lords report of the 4th of March this year, entitled Brexit and the EU Budget?
Which said it was sort of undecided, really.
No, it didn't. No,
well,
it set out that if we left without a deal under Article 50, we had no legal obligation under EU, international or UK law to pay
I think
anything.
no is just a step too far. No obligation. I'm not going to share with you, as governments never do, the legal advice they're given, but let me outline for you the approach we took. It might sort of inform the answer rather more thoroughly than just me giving a yes or no on that. What the Commission did was put a proposal to us. It was pretty high level, by the way. It wasn't quite as detailed as I think people suspect. A pretty high level proposal, but it was a kitchen sink proposal. Took in every liability, every conceivable liability, including things like contingent liabilities. Didn't take in any assets. Even when you're looking at the EIB, took the liabilities but not the assets, and presented that to us. We went through it, and basically we felt that they were on poor to non-existent ground under both Article 50 and Article 70 of the Vienna Protocol. Those are the two primary tests. We also thought the approach on things like ignoring assets was just illogical in some respects. So that was why, I can't remember, it was the third, I think it was the fourth round of negotiations, there was a pretty frosty write-up everywhere, because it was one of those ones where Mr. Barnier was not very happy. And we took a view which is, this is not, we took from the beginning, from my very first meeting with them, we took the view that this is not an issue of legal responsibilities. It's an issue of political, moral, maybe, operational responsibilities, but you pick your words, different people put it differently, but not legal. So the thrust of your argument is right. But it's little, and what the argument tended to show, the legal argument tended to show, was we might be on the hook for 1 year, basically 1 year, not 5, 10 years, whatever.
This was basically what the House of Lords report said. It said there may be a moral obligation to pay, but there was no legal one. That's because right. Article 50 of the treaty knocks out the Vienna Convention's alternative provisions. Yeah. But doesn't this become very important in the event that we leave without a deal? Because then, is the Prime Minister's commitment to pay under the multi-annual financial framework an unconditional one, or is it conditional on an agreement?
Well, we've not got into the speculative outcomes of no deal. I mean, let me just say why for a second. Much of the arguments about deal, no deal are phrased in polemical rather than logical arguments. The phrases crash out and all this sort of thing. There are various sorts of no deal. There's a no deal which is we go to WTO arrangements, but we have a bare bones deal on other elements. As I said, I listed them, I think, to the chairman. Aviation, data, nuclear maybe or not, and so on. And then there's, of course, a complete failure to agree and sort of hostile. Now, I think that is so incredible, it's actually off the probability scale. But that in those circumstances, it is conceivable, that there'll be no deal of any sort.
And if there is, we pay nothing. And
under those circumstances, you could imagine the country paying nothing.
And this is our strongest negotiating card, isn't it? Because the multi-annual financial framework needs the £20 billion over the next 2 years to make it work. Otherwise, somebody has to pay more. Or people
I wouldn't put it in such crude terms, and I'm sure it's on the mind of some continental countries.
They're aware of it. You made a statement saying that the days of making vast yearly contributions to the EU budget will end when we leave, but that will be when the transition period ends.
I'm excluding from that what the Commission delightfully calls a divorce bill. But, there would not be a continuous future payment for access to the market, for example.
Right, but there may be contributions to individual projects beyond that.
Yeah, I think it's quite likely, so long as we are still friends, which is where I expect we will be, quite likely that we will be taking part in things like Horizon 2020, some of the other space issues like the GPS system, some of the nuclear things, the variety of things where I can see us continuing to be part, just as, I don't know, Israel is part of some of them.
And what about loans to the Ukraine and things like that?
Well, that's a separate issue, I think. I mean, I think in those terms, I mean, I sort of slightly need to notice that question, but my instinctive reaction to that is that that will be a sort of a discretionary decision thereafter. That'll be one of our foreign policy decisions. And bear in mind, I mean, one of the things that we are looking towards is a deep and special partnership includes a warm and close relationship on foreign policy thereafter. We think we view Europe as will be our nearest and largest ally, effectively.
But not sincere cooperation.
Sorry?
Not sincere cooperation. So the UK would not expect to find itself...
No, I don't know. Sincere cooperation stops when we leave.
When we leave. And that stops when we leave rather than at the end of the implementation.
Yeah.
On the sequencing of agreements, you set out that we would get a deal under Article 50, and then there would be, and that's enhanced qualified majority vote and the European Parliament's approval. There are then the JHA and trade issues, which, assuming they're mixed agreements, require more complex ratification procedures. Do we fulfil our obligations under the Article 50 agreement before they have fulfilled their side on the other parts, or does our commitment under Article 50 to pay money, for example, become contingent on those agreements being ratified?
Nothing is agreed till everything is agreed is the famous favourite phrase of the European Union, and we think it applies both ways.
So are you saying that we would suspend payments during the implementation period until an agreement on JHA and trade has been...
This is about as far down this speculative route as I'm going to follow you.
But it's very important, because if there is a sequencing in the agreements, it is perfectly possible that it would take more than 2 years to ratify the trade deal. It may be possible to continue with it pending ratification, but that in that 2-year period we would have paid over £20 billion and we may not have the trade deal. This seems to me that's very important.
This is one of the reasons we need we need agreement at least at council level and commission level before it starts.
But doesn't it go back to...
But not necessarily ratification. No.
Okay, because...
There's an element of risk in it.
There's an element of risk, but can you reduce that risk by making it clear that the British government will not, during the implementation or transition period, make payments until those ratifications are done?
That's why I said I'm not following you down this route any further.
All right, because the worry is...
I can see what you're saying.
You can see what I'm saying.
I'm conscious of the trade-offs.
The worry is, to follow on from Mr. Bain's question, is that we get to 29th March 2019, we stay under the auspices of the European Court, we're still in the customs union, we accept new rules as they come through, we keep on paying money with the promise of a trade deal on the never never. We are still therefore in the European Union for a further 2 years, and all that's happened is the end point has been delayed and the uncertainty in 2021, which the aim is to avoid, is just as great. But we've actually stayed in the European Union for 2 years longer and not achieved what we're aiming for.
I think there are ways around that, but if you forgive me, I'm not going to detail them here today.
All right. Thank you, Chairman.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.